Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candi CWall Waller, checking in as I love to do all throughout the calendar year and especially during the NFL season to give you the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. I'm a bit late. There's some technical difficulties going on, but hey, that's what happens when you do things live, everybody. But we just go ahead and rock out and roll with it anyway. So I have a lot to cover. Washington Commanders week 1 has come to a close on week 2 in a short week. If you're tuned in, this is Bowie Television, you all. If you're in Prince George's County, Maryland, you can find us on channels 190 and 1097. Hopefully you are subscribed to our YouTube channel or following along and able to see our content. So you can still share this episode. This is our live episode that I've been doing for quite some time now to just talk through all of the things Washington Commanders. I'll try to get into as much as I possibly can, understanding that we're on a time limit because, hey, I have a lot to discuss, number one. Number two, it's still Monday Night Football, and I'm sure everyone wants to watch that. I know that I do. And then, of course, it's just a short week. So you might be seeing a whole lot of me. Hopefully, that doesn't bother you at all. So go ahead and drop your comments in the chat. We definitely do all of the super chats, super thanks, all of that. If you are on YouTube and would like to show your appreciation for Bowie TV's great content and the content of this episode, by all means, feel free to do so. And I will, at any rate, always get to as many questions and comments as I possibly can. If you have been in the Bowie Television viewership family for a minute now, you know, I do a couple things. If you're watching through Facebook, you can follow me on Candi Waller and you can see it there as well. You can definitely love button, like, share it there also. But at the top of a show, I love to play this game called What's Your One Word? And it is what's your one word to describe how you felt when the game was finally over. The Washington Commanders defeating the New York Giants 21-6. The Giants unable to score a touchdown. All of the things. Go ahead and let me know what your one word is. And while you're at it, drop your one word. You also know the rule around here is to make sure you say hello to Mama and Pops Waller as well. So I'll give you a minute because guess what? You probably are thinking about a lot of different things in terms of your one word because it's probably a lot that you just couldn't. It was a lot. You can't. It's hard to put it into one word. Let me just say that it is difficult to do that. So if you're still thinking about your one word, absolutely cool with me because it was difficult for me to come up with one as well. And I see Eric Jessup said that he was relieved. Mazdak said that defense, that's definitely a word for sure. And there were so many others that we could talk through, share as well. But listen, while we go through this time together, you know, I'm always going to break this out. You know, we're going to do a rendition, as always, of using your clues where I am sharing insights from press conferences, interviews, all of the things to really piece together because you all know I'm big on press conferences, obviously, because I'm in this business. And just understanding what is being said so that when you see things in the game, you'll know what you're looking at. So definitely chime in. If I haven't acknowledged any of your comments and you drop them in, trust me, do not charge it to my heart at all. We definitely want to try to get to all of the comments, but let's go ahead and get into some clips. So again, you all know we use our clues. I share clips from press conferences and or interviews if I have those, and we dig into what we saw, what we learned, all of the things. So let's go ahead and start from right after the game and get into Commanders head coach Dan Quinn's opening statement right after the game.
I'm starting off with, thinking with the team after the game. I thought first things first, man, tough division win. And that's what division games are. All week you'd heard me talk about play style and identity. And if we get that part right, the other things can come. And that's what I was looking for first. There's plenty to clean up. I thought, prior to the next game, that part. But I wanted to make sure identity, toughness, physicality, like that is how we get down and how we play. We knew this to be a line of scrimmage game on both sides. Their defensive line, our offensive line, was going to be a battle. I liked how we took care of the ball. We did not create any, and so that's a big deal for us. I thought they did a good job of taking care of it. It didn't seem like it was in harm's way, but I thought the inside guys battled and the outside guys were going to get tested. And so that was defensively what I thought would happen. Offensively, I thought we hurt ourselves with some penalties that created some tough, to go, third downs to go. So we didn't get quite as many ops as I would have liked. But at the end, to finish with the ball at the game, that's the toughness, that's the winning time moments that we talk about. So that part I'm pleased with, but lots to clean up. I'm pleased with the win.
So listen, it wasn't the prettiest, and we're going to get into some of that because, as always, the team is ever so transparent about their play style and their identity, which is why I asked Coach Quinn about Nick Bellore. Check it out.
When you talk about play style and identity, Nick Bellore had a big play on special teams. So
yes.
Can you share about what he brings to the special teams unit?
Yeah, it's more than just the speed. It's the physicality, the tackling, the matchups. Because Nick, he can absolutely fly. That's like, as a special teams, featured player, that's the superpower and the speed. But the physicality, I thought was a good hit, man. The ball almost looked like it was going to come out. It didn't, but he is really, somebody that we lean on in that way. We felt like, we got a lot of cleanup on that area too. The protection wasn't like we quite like. The kickoff coverage part was good. I thought it was strong and tough like we like, but we got plenty of work to do. That's usually where you see it, and you build it, and then you build it. In the first month, it's ups and downs, and you're trying to clean things up to have this many penalties. I was pissed, but back to Bellore, I just think he's somebody that's so consistent and helps develop others. It's a big part of who we are and identity and attitude.
Now, I appreciate Coach Quinn bringing up the penalties because that is typically the lane that I dive into because, yes, there were a lot of penalties yesterday committed by the Washington Commanders. Did not look good at all in that regard, but there were some moments, right? Nick Bellore's hit on special teams was one that stood out to me. You'll hear me say this so many times because the team has said it, where the special teams unit, that is their anchor. That is like their flagship unit. It really gets them going and it sets the tone. So absolutely, I thought the ball was going to fly out too. It didn't. At any rate, kudos and shout out to Nick Bellore for his performance and his input there. The next question I had for Dan Quinn, or actually, I don't remember which order. I think I asked the Nick Bellore question second, but the rookie. If you all caught my show over the weekend, in which I did a kind of preview of the game, I went back in terms of pulling my own receipts to the question I asked Jaden Daniels last week about Josh Connolly Jr. starting at right tackle. And he shared, he knows that people are going to come after him because he's an experienced vet and Laramie Tunsil on the other side. But he knows that Josh Connolly Jr. is ready, and he absolutely was. Hey, listen, as I said in the show over the weekend, you're not going to win them all. That's anybody. They're not going to win them all. But Josh Connolly Jr., drop in the chat in this live what you think of Josh Connolly Jr.'s performance. Check out Coach Quinn's response to my question.
Hey, Coach. The offensive line, after the game, I saw several of the offensive line giving Josh Connolly Jr. big hugs and high fives. So what do you have to say about what you saw from him today?
Yeah, we knew this is going to be a tough matchup, just with the style of Burns and Carter are going to be there, Thibodeau, and like good matchups, good tough things. But one thing that I've learned about Connolly, like he really does like a challenge. And in the early part of training camp, Kenny, it was good. I was seeing it, and then we went to New England. Boom, and it elevated. And when you are a young player and you get your first start, there's things you like, things you don't. Same with Amos, to say, okay, you got a PI. I thought it was a good aggressive play. How do we learn from it? And so the fact that it'll be a division game, now he'll have something to pull back on for when we play them, weeks from now. So all of those things matter. Like the younger you are, man, like you want to like eat experience. I need him. I need every bit of it. And so you grow, you make mistakes, you fail some, you do well, and then he's the type of player that does learn from it. And so that's kind of what happens as you grow, and they seem to grow faster, when you have the mindset like, I'm not going to do that again. I liked how this went, and Josh certainly has that.
So good first test. Good. Hey, they came out with the win, which then leads me to diving into Jaden Daniels' after game press conference. Now, Jaden is going to be a little bit more direct, as you all probably know. Check it out.
What up?
Jaden, what's up? Obviously, happy to get the win. How do you feel like your offense performed throughout the game?
We were sloppy, but it's always better to come out with a win than a loss, so we'll learn from that.
Always better to come out with a win than a loss, but Jaden was going to keep it real, as he always does, sloppy. Now, I have to admit, I got a little nervous. We were in the press box like, what is going on here? Because when the score stalled at 14, and there was definitely some things that needed to be worked through, which Jaden shared a bit more about that when some questions were asked to him in his after-game press conference. So check this one out as well.
Obviously, you and Terry just kind of getting back together the last couple weeks. How did you kind of feel about the timing with you guys?
The timing was there. They were doubling Terry a lot, rightfully so. He's earned that right in this league. So other guys stepped up and made plays, but when the plays were there for Terry to show up, and like that third down on the little curl route, he made a play, and we kept the chains moving.
So sometimes you may see those things, or you may not. And that Terry McLaurin was double teamed. He was out there plenty. I shared in the pregame. I shared last week as well, and in my episode over the weekend, that you'll see Terry McLaurin. Absolutely, will see him, and you'll see Noah Brown as well. And as I posted and I tweeted and shared, see, Noah's okay. So I think the takeaway, and one of the things that I even shared when I did a recap show last night. Shout out to the urban sports scene. Tag those guys and tell them I gave them a shout out. It's going to get better, right? And that is one of the things that Coach Quinn was talking about, right? Where it's week one, right? Some of the tackling, not all that great, right? But then you see a Bobby Wagner who has 10 tackles, right? You see what the defense did overall with Dorrance Armstrong, all of them, Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise, you name it, Deron Payne, the cornerbacks, all the things. And you say, okay, if it didn't look good, and as Jaden Daniels says, it was sloppy, which we all saw, it was, right? We can be honest, it was. You figure, okay, this is where they're starting, but they're recognizing what they need to do to already get better. So, another thing I want to say, and love button, fire emoji if you agree with this, make sure you put it in the chat, is, I'll tell you one thing, they look better than they did last year, week one. You can tell there is certainly some differences here in what this team has done with the roster and all of the things to get better. There is certainly a change for sure. And I see this comment here that I want to acknowledge. Yep, can't be perfect every week. Cannot be perfect every week, but hey, you can try, but they're not always going to go your way every single time. So, hey, we'll see what happens Thursday, because we're going to get into Thursday. We're going to get into Thursday because we have to. But we got to keep kind of dissecting what happened on Sunday. So another clip from Jaden Daniels. Check it out.
And how much more of a comfort level is it for you to know that you guys don't have to, be at your absolute best, and you can still control the clock, you can still make big plays, and you can still put the game away at the end?
I mean, it's a complimentary sport, and it's good to know that the defense was flying around today and they made plays, but we don't want to rely on defense getting stops, even though we play well off each other, but we want to go out there and execute at a high level.
So you could even sense, at least I could sense in Jaden's demeanor, and I was walking back and forth, so I got to his presser a little bit late, that, this is not a good for the win. Satisfaction, not even close, because there's some things that absolutely needs to clean up. Going to something positive. What about this run game? I've been sharing with you all now for well over a month about the Commanders' running back room, and that this is a strong point of emphasis, a position group to watch, going to make some noise, doing some good things. I do think it's important to mention the offensive line, right? Talked about Josh Connolly Jr. a moment ago, and just the test in going up against the Giants' defensive line and how they certainly held up. Was everything perfect? No, not at all. But to see the blocking ability from the run game, all the various yards per carry for Eckler, for Bill, for Jeremy McNichols, seeing the blocking abilities on that Deebo Samuel touchdown, you saw this offensive line with John Bates and others. There was some times they all got involved in the blocking to make plays happen at a speed that I know I've been mentioning this to you all before, when seeing them practice, and it's like they're getting faster. And I was saying this back in OTAs, like, are they faster? And it's you don't want to say it. You got to see it in real time. You got to see it. But I'm like, they're faster. Like, I'm looking at even the guys from last year. They're that is what they're working on, that speed and that agility at the line of scrimmage. And you absolutely saw it for sure. Bill forgot his touchdown football again.
Scoring your first NFL touchdown. Looks like you forgot the ball again, but what was that moment like?
Yeah, I forgot the ball again. I told myself, like, when I score, I'm gonna make sure I keep my football, and I think the excitement just take over, and I just end up dropping it. But Terry ended up finding the ball and just giving it to me.
Write this down in your notebook. You've been using your clues. When Jaden Daniels shared who got him his first touchdown football, right? I guess it was maybe it's preseason or regular season, because it's a thing in the preseason and then in the regular season. He said Zach Ertz and Terry McLaurin made sure he had his football. And to hear that for Bill, that Terry McLaurin, here he is again, made sure that Bill got his football. Kudos to Terry. Make sure you all tag him, tell him that he's a dope dude, because he is. And just so glad things are back to normal, right? Okay, let's get into then today's press conference. The media met via Zoom with Dan Quinn. So basically today is Wednesday's practice for the team. Tomorrow is Thursday's practice. Wednesday is Friday's practice, because they have such a short week to prepare. So that is kind of how they are managing that. So media was not there today. We'll be there tomorrow, Tuesday. So that's like the Thursday practice, I think, right? Yes. And then Wednesday is the Friday practice. I will actually be traveling during Wednesday's practice. So I'll be making sure that I'm in Green Bay, prayerfully safe and sound. Prayers up on that. But let's get into today's press conference and some important points and things of note. Again, some more from Dan Quinn, especially after he's had an opportunity to look at the film, and then a bit about Thursday night's matchup against the Green Bay Packers.
I thought after going through it last night and again this morning, a lot to clean up. But one thing, man, that I really appreciate was, kind of the attack tone and nature of the defense, especially down in the low red zone. Coming off of last season, there were some things we really wanted to improve on. And trust and believe that every coach and player was trying to elevate that part of it. And I know it's just a first glimpse, but I'm excited to see them grow as a defense and see where we can take it. I talked to you about identity and how we play is the most important thing. That's even over what we play, meaning a call. So that becomes identity. But you got to really do it over and over again. So I was pleased to see that, and glad to get it rocking with you guys, whether you want to hit on the game or Green Bay, ready to get rolling.
If you all are just tuning in, this is the live version from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I am your host, Candi CWall. I am on site covering the Washington Commanders for Bowie TV. If you're in Prince George's County, Maryland, and you have not cut your cable and you have Comcast, you can find Bowie TV on channels 190 and 1097. Hopefully, if you are watching online this live episode, you are subscribed and loving Bowie TV. Make sure you share this show and the channel with your Commanders loving family and friends. We love to give you all of the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. As we have it, you all have it. So I'll just keep plugging it away. Hope you all are enjoying this episode so far. Going into my question for Coach Quinn. A moment ago, I talked about the offensive line. I also talked about the defensive line, because you got to talk about both. Both did some really, really great things. In the middle of, at one point in the game, I was just really watching Commander Center Tyler Biadasz, because I was like, and I have it in my notes right here in my notebook, because I keep my notebook. If I tell you all to keep a notebook, hey, it's for a good reason. I would never tell you to do something that I don't do myself. So I was so impressed. And I was like, I remember when Tyler Biadasz, I'm good on pulling receipts. So using your clues, and one thing CWall is going to do is pull receipts. So I will never forget in Tyler Biadasz's first, one of his first press conferences when he first got to the Commanders. This was last May. I remembered him making a comment about the offensive line moving 5 as 1. I remembered that. And I just stayed on it for a minute. And I would see it throughout the season last year, and I saw him do such an impressive job in a very hard assignment against the New York Giants. So I wanted to ask Coach Quinn about Tyler Biadasz. And you all know I do something else too. When I feel like I don't know where I'm going to go today in practice, where am I going to go look? Whoever makes me look, that's where I'll look. Who's one of the many players on defense that made me look yesterday was Deatrich Wise, one of the newest members of the team. There was plenty though. Will Harris is another one, the whole secondary, everybody. So I asked Coach Quinn about Tyler and Deatrich. Check out his response. Hey, Coach. I have a question for 2 of your players, one on offense and one on defense. You already mentioned Tyler Biadasz, so I want to get your thoughts on his performance yesterday, and then Deatrich Wise.
Sure. Yeah, I thought from a line of scrimmage standpoint, this was going to be the game, Candi. We would really have to test and push and see where we could go. And so Tyler probably has not the hardest matchup. It's a hard matchup in a different way. They've got guys that can fly and really rush outside, but Dexter provides a whole nother challenge just because he's got strength, he's got quickness to go, and so that'll call on you to really play well. But I thought Ty led the whole thing in front, the calls, the movements to go, and then on the other side with Wise, I thought he made a really good first impression as a Commander. He's tough, man, he's square, he's strong, all the things that we saw in practice. But the play that probably sticks out to me the most was on down in the red zone. There was a quick throw out to Neighbors. Quan came up to make a tackle. He didn't get it, but you really saw Wise just hauling ass out of the stack and making a tackle. That's finishing. That's effort. So that was like my favorite play for him from the game.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so that play was one that I had written in my notebook. So I was like, yes. I like it when whatever I'm thinking and wherever's going, I'm like, okay, great. I do know what I'm watching. And it was just like, wow, because he's right. Quan did some amazing things, but in that moment, can't get them all. He did miss it. In Deatrich Wise, and I think I'm going to tell you why, being very transparent, this is sticking out for me. We post, video from practice, training camp, and, they're not in team drills. They are in individual drills, in position drills, and in one of the drills, there was all these comments about Deatrich Wise being slow and looking slow in the video. And I'm like, it's just a video. Like it wasn't like a high intensity part of practice. And some of my teammates were like, he's not slow. And I'm like, hey, listen, week one, they'll see him. So everybody saw him. And I really appreciated Coach just making the comment about being a commander and what that means, because it's a real thing, everybody. What does the commander do? What does it look like in games, right? And he did it. I saw it. And so definitely Tyler Biotish was one that I wanted to kind of continue to pull that thread on, and Dietrich Wise as well. Now, let's get into some of the things that didn't look so well. I got to jump to something that didn't look so well, and that's the penalties. So let's get into DQ's response on that.
Hey, Coach, just curious, after watching the film, what did you see from those penalties on Sunday, and how do you go about cleaning those up on a short week?
Yeah, you want to show them all, Liam, first off. The ones that are physical and look at it, like, for instance, like a roughing, can we, lower our hands so that wouldn't happen? Those ones you just coach your way through. The ones that are the pre-snap ones, we had an aligned offsides on offense. We had a false start. I do like when I see people come back, and show resilience. For instance, Austin had an offsides and came back to make an epic conversion. Zach had an offsides, came back to make a good touchdown catch. So I don't like them, Liam, and I show them to try to coach us out of them, especially the pre-snap ones. But I do like seeing resilience for people, even if it's a drop pass. I thought Jalen Lane kind of showed that as well. There was a drop, and he came back to make a conversion later. Those are things I'm looking for in the game as well. But for sure, to be lapped in penalties 2-1, not what we're looking for, man.
Thanks, Coach.
No, not at all. And see, going back to my question from after the game, when I asked about Nick Bellore, and Coach just started going down this path about, of course he was spot on talking about Nick Bellore, but then he just got wired in on the penalties, because this is a conversation that I have had with Coach. I want to know. I would like to know. I really want to know. And whether it's a question or just following up later on, and so, and then, in the locker room, I was able to talk to some players directly about their penalties and the ones that were on them. And, just talk it through. I want to learn. I want to be educated on that topic. And I've joked a bit, but it's not really a joke, you all, that I talk to officials. I want to know so that I'm aware. And some of them are just senseless, and those pre-snap penalties, not a good look. And I definitely don't think Thursday night is the type of time you want to be on to be getting any pre-snap penalties. This is not the situation where you want to just be giving away yards. Definitely not the situation. Another thing that Coach was asked about, what was that at the end of the first half? What was that? The whole 2-minute drill, what happened? So Coach did touch on that a bit today as well.
Hey, Dan, I was just wondering, what did you think of in review the end of the first half sequence from when you guys called the last time out to what happened on the last play where Jaden gets called for the penalty? Yeah, so in that space, on the first one, we want to make sure when we're getting close, you can get 2 plays off for sure. And then as it gets closer between a third down and a first down, what we would have preferred to do in that scenario is to go clock it. And then if you have a first down, do it quickly. And if it goes into where it's going to be, a third down play, you can do it a little more slowly, knowing that's going to be the last play of the half. So we just missed it, Ben. And it was a bummer for us to leave 3 points there. We've worked some scenarios similar to that one, but not that exact one. But, yeah, we just missed it, man. And that falls on me of not having the guys ready to go execute at that spot.
And what I was aware of, and I think I kind of posted this and tweeted it as well, I said, I've watched them do this type of thing, all training camp. And that was when it was still some maybe 20 or so more seconds left. And then for it to end the way that it did, I was like, well, that clearly did not go as planned. And, whatever the plan was, it couldn't have been that. So, hey, what I would take away from that and that response from coach is, hey, I missed it. Didn't have them ready to execute that. Didn't, called it, didn't have them ready to execute it. Appreciate that transparency. Again, in week 1, you want to see the admission and the transparency of it wasn't good enough. That wasn't good, or it was sloppy, or I missed it. You want to see that. You want to hear that, because knowing what we know about this staff and this team is that they are going to work on it and they're going to get better. Now, going back to something positive to close out on the week 1 conversation before we get into Green Bay. I saw someone in the comments talk about Debo and said something about Debo. And listen, let's be clear. Nobody's giving Debo back to anybody. Okay. Debo needs to be a kept man in Ashburn. All right. He needs to be a kept man over there. And I think he likes it. His teammates definitely like it. And I'm getting ready to bring up a topic that I was asked in pregame. And I'm smiling already because it's funny to me. And if, my big brother in the business, Lake Lewis, you can tag Lake. All summer, he would be like, they're not going to have Debo returning kicks. I said, Debo is returning kicks in front of our faces. He's absolutely going to return kicks. No. He's not going to return. He will, and he shall. Okay? Because they one thing that this team has never done, this organization, is gassed us on something that's just not real. Like, it's real. He's absolutely going to return kicks. And I remember going back to urban sports scene, all burgundy and gold, everything before in the pregame. Wole asked me the same thing. Tag Wole. Wole asked me the same thing. He said, they really going to have Debo back there returning kicks? Short answer, yes. Okay. Use your clues, break out your notebook on the type of time they're on when they say it's week 1. And the Commanders lose the toss, the Giants defer, special teams, kick return team, you're up. And you see 3 ones go out there. Luke is 11, and you see Debo at 1. And I turn around and I look down the press box. I looked at Lake. I told you. He calls it right all the time. And that was one I want credit for. I want my flowers for that one, because I absolutely said, hey, look, he's going to return kicks. So Coach Quinn was asked about that today as well.
And then with Debo on the kick returns, I know that's part of who he is and what he's done for a long time. As a coach, when you're seeing him try to hurdle guys on kick returns and knowing how valuable he is on offense, is there ever any oh gosh, please don't?
I try not. I wouldn't put him in if I felt like that would be the case, because I do know it's some game-breaking plays. But if we can be the best at that, then I think that's a really big op to do it. It's definitely different than it was just 2 years ago. They're closer. It's different. It's a more effective way, I think, with the kick and the kick returns. We're still learning it and growing, but I do feel like he's the type of person that can be a game breaker at it.
And yes. And remember, there's a new kickoff rule. There's a new rule. And I started talking to you all about that after we got back from the owners' meetings about this new rule. And I said it then. I said it in April. I said, do not, with this new rule, do not be surprised if you see Debo Samuel. He's going to do it because he can. And he's very good at it. And so why wait to the playoffs? Again, we understand the time, and I will continue this. I will repeat myself. I don't mind being a broken record on this one, even if I'm talking to myself on this. It is, We know how important home field advantage is to this team. Shout out to all of the fans who were at the game. You were live, you were lit. Now, I will say this, okay? I do want to say that you all were very quiet when the Giants offense was on the field. And I'm not sure if it was because you were worried for Russell Wilson at one point in time, because at one point in time, I was like, he doesn't have any help out there. Whoa. But at any rate, or maybe you were just concentrating because you were looking at the defense and was in shock. Like, this is the Commanders defense? Oh, yeah, it is. So at any rate, Debo at kick return, it happened. It's happening. And that is how you know the type of time this team is on. Right? You may have seen some of my colleagues talking about conversations in the locker room, like with Deron Payne, and they, talking about how personal they took last year and how personal they took, the NFC Championship loss. It is real. And as much as they love home field advantage, the only way you get home field advantage for the playoffs, the whole time you play in the playoffs, and except for the Super Bowl, right? But for your playoff games, and you get the number 1 seed. That's a guarantee that you will be home during the playoffs. That is the number 1 seed. And in order to get the number 1 seed, you have to win a lot of football games to get that. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they will. What I am saying is the process to being able to do the playoffs at home, what that entails. That is winning and getting that number 1 seed. Of course, you got the bye week, right? But the divisional and the conference game would be whomever the highest seed is. A guarantee of being the highest seed is being the highest seed. So whatever they got to do to win football games. I even said that with Noah Brown and Terry. I say, hey, listen, if they're healthy, they're playing. And Jonathan Jones, hey, if we learned anything about this team, if they're healthy and it fits within the 48 players they can have active, that's how they're rolling. Now, drop in the chat in this live in the Washington Commanders update from the Coaching from the Couch series on Bowie TV. You all drop in the chat. What do you think is going to happen Thursday night football? Tell me your thoughts. I want to know. What do you think is going to transpire? And while you're doing that, I want you all to listen and watch this clip here when Dan Quinn was asked about Micah Parsons.
And what is the toughest thing about preparing for him, especially on a short week?
Speed. Like he's in Dallas, he was one of our fastest players. So that's the hardest thing to simulate, for an offensive tackle, to see the first couple, 2 or 3 steps. It's not at a, speed that's, you can simulate in a practice rep. So that would be like early on. I think there's been some rushes that he could surprise some people if you haven't faced him, knowing that he can really jump off the ball.
Speed. Can't really, simulate that. Look, let me use this space really quick to use this to talk about the Dallas Cowboys trading Micah Parsons, not within the division, but within the conference. Okay. Look, I don't know who helps make decisions in Dallas. I don't know if anybody helps to make decisions in Dallas, but I just, hey, if you're going to trade him, get him out of the conference, because who wants to see him at all? Okay, good on Jerry that you got him out of the division. Yeah, well, whatever. Hooray for you. But guess what? He's still in the conference, and OMG, he's with a team that you actually have to play this season. Doesn't really help anybody, to be honest. Wanted to get that off my chest, okay, publicly. That's probably my biggest concern for Thursday. Now, let's also be clear, because I think it's also now been publicly reported, I believe by Ian Rappaport, that the Packers were in the hunt, in the trade talks for Cincinnati Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson. I'm saying all that to say, clearly the Green Bay Packers are a team that's got time, right? Depending on how you look at it. Or maybe they don't have any time. So they're like all in. We got to make a move. They are in a tough division as well. They are in a very tough division. And so they're like, hey, we need an impact player, a must-have now. If they were in the running for Trey Hendrickson, we all know that they got Micah Parsons. They're on another kind of time too. So I fully expect Lambeau Field to be amazing experience overall. I fully expect their fans to be at full go the entire time. The weather is slated to be nice, so that's good September Lambeau. That's good weather. But I'm gonna tell you, if the offense hasn't worked out some of the kinks, and it's a short week. So again, I'm not expecting perfection at all. But if they haven't worked out some of those kinks, it'll be a little different with Micah Parsons getting pressure. Also with Micah Parsons getting pressure, don't think he's going to try his luck over there with Laramie Tunsil. Don't think he's going to try that. Now, last week with the New York Giants, I definitely shared over the weekend, hey, we all know that Josh Connolly Jr. is going to get tried. We saw Brian Burns over there a lot. You can't stop everybody, right? We saw Brian Burns. Okay, got it. Cool. Micah Parsons, Josh Connolly Jr., book it. This is the week that I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen to Josh Connolly Jr.? I want to see. He loves the competition. He loves it, as Coach Quinn, as I shared in the clip earlier. He loves it. He's with it. He's with all the shenanigans. He can't wait, I'm sure. But from watching, I'm, clutching my pearls a bit. So this will be a team that has the same aspirations as the Washington Commanders, just based on the move to get a Micah Parsons. And they absolutely, they have Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs. They have a strong running back there. Lots of, good pieces, great coaching staff. So this will be one to watch on Thursday Night Football. Right. This will be a good one. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm always looking forward to it. But this will be, different. This won't be like Sunday. So let's see what happens. Also, if the offense is still working through some kinks, for the defense to continue to improve and be on the way up, I think it's time for them to get back to the takeaways that result in points. Okay, so would love to see takeaways. Would love to see the Commander special teams really dominating that, just truly dominating the lack or limit of the Packers having good starting field position. So that's where I'm at with it. I will be doing another show, more than likely recorded. Will be here on the YouTube channel. We'll have it on Bowie TV channels 190 and 1097 as well, if you're in PG County, to do my overall pregame conversation or preview of week 2. And then an hour before the game, I will also be here on the channel, as well as on All Burgundy and Gold Everything, to talk about the vibe at Lambeau Field, answer any questions, taking a good look at the inactive list, all of the things that we do before pregame. So absolutely buckle up Thursday night, get your popcorn, whatever beverage you enjoy, because it will be a good one. It will be a good one. So you all look coming out of week 1 with a win. Always great to cover wins. We'll see what happens week 2, but a lot to be excited about, Commanders fans, especially when you think about the fact that what you saw in week 1, they're going to get better. They are going to get better because we know that they do, and they care about how they show up. So take that where you believe they are for yourselves. You believe where they are, and just understand that it's going to get better. And let's keep on watching. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me on this Monday night. You all go ahead and enjoy Monday Night Football and pay attention to this game as well. The Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, as you know, are on the schedule. And I'm big on make sure you keep up with the opponents, especially those within conference, because you never know when you can see them again. So you all listen, thank you for joining. Hope you're locked in on Bowie TV, and I will be talking to you all again